Blue Ranger from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the brains in the Power Rangers team. The Power Rangers were a group of superheroes who captured the imagination of children around the world in the 1990s. As the stars of the popular television show Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, these characters became idols and role models for many kids. The series follows the adventures of a group of teenagers who were chosen to defend the Earth against evil forces. These teens were given special powers and suits that allowed them to transform into Power Rangers, each with her or his own unique abilities and weapons. Led by their mentor, Zordon, the Power Rangers worked together to defeat the nefarious Rita Repulsa and her monster army. The show was known for its high-energy action sequences and the use of colorful costumes and special effects. It also dealt with themes of teamwork, friendship, and personal growth, making it a beloved and memorable part of many people's childhoods. One of the most integral parts of the Power Rangers team was the Blue Ranger, Billy Cranston. He was known for his intelligence, technological expertise, and calm and collected demeanor. He was a reliable and dependable member of the team, using his brains to come up with innovative solutions to problems. Children looked up to the Blue Ranger as a hero and aspired to be like him. In this video, we are going to explore Billy's early life, how he became the Blue Ranger, and what adventures transpired afterwards. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. How a bullied kid became a Power Ranger. Billy Cranston was a brilliant young scientist and inventor who lived in the town of Angel Grove. He was the typical silent smart kid who was constantly dwelling on his own thoughts and was shy around other people, which resulted in his early life being relatively withdrawn. He was a kind and compassionate individual with a strong sense of justice, and he always stood up for what he believed. Despite his intellect, Billy was often ignored and underestimated by his peers due to his quiet and unassuming nature. He was also an easy target for bullies, and without much retaliation from him, he remained one of the frequent victims of various people like Bulk and Skull, who would comment on his actions and demeanor on a regular basis. Despite all the negative impacts on his early life, Billy's strong moral character and a sense of purpose would later serve him well when he was chosen to become a Power Ranger and defend the Earth against the forces of evil. One day, Billy was chosen by the wise and powerful being known as Zordon to become the Blue Ranger of the Power Rangers. Zordon had selected a group of young people with exceptional talents and untapped potential to become the defenders of Earth against the forces of evil. Billy was given a special power coin that allowed him to transform into the Blue Ranger and harness the incredible powers of the Triceratops dinosaur and also the control of the Triceratops Dinozord, which would come to use every time the Power Rangers had to deal with a mighty foe that was wreaking havoc on Earth. Billy eagerly accepted the challenge and became an integral member of the team, using his intelligence and technical expertise to help the other Rangers in their fight against the evil Rita Repulsa and her minions. He also used his powers to defend the innocent and protect the people of Angel Grove, becoming a true hero in the process. As the Blue Ranger, Billy Cranston played a crucial role in the Power Rangers team due to his intelligence and quick thinking skills. His technical expertise allowed him to come up with innovative solutions to problems. Billy's intellect also made him a valuable asset in strategic planning, as he was able to analyze situations and come up with effective battle plans to defeat the forces of evil. In addition to his intellect, Billy had a calm and collected demeanor. He was able to keep a level head even in the most stressful and dangerous situations, and his level-headed leadership helped to keep the other Rangers focused and united. Overall, Billy's quick thinking and intellect were integral to the success of the Power Rangers team, and he played a vital role in helping them overcome the challenges they faced. Billy and the other Power Rangers remained united and stood strong amidst all the challenges and dangers they faced, using the power of teamwork and friendship to overcome all obstacles. Billy's leadership and bravery made him an inspiration to the other Rangers and to the children who watched the show, proving that anyone can be a hero if they have the courage and determination to do what is right. Talking more about Billy's character, his personality was very well written. He was a character that, although fictional, was very much grounded in reality. This is showcased in one of the scenarios that Billy was put in. On one fateful day, as Billy was experimenting in his lab on something that involved whirlpools, he developed ichthyophobia, which is the fear of fishes. Billy was accidentally bitten by one of the fish in his experiment, and the consequences were not physical, but purely mental. Rita, who was always on the lookout for exploiting any weaknesses the Power Rangers exposed, gained the knowledge of Billy's phobia and took the opportunity to cast a spell to make his anxiety around fish worse than it already was. This spell would last well into his teenage years. During one such conflict, Billy was the only remaining ranger, while the others were captured by the goofish monster during their battle. Understanding what needed to be done in such a dire situation, Billy stepped up and broke Rita's enchantment, further releasing his companions and assisting them in taking down the monster who was behind all this. Later, it was also known that Billy not only overcame his phobia, but also went out fishing with Ernie, who was the proprietor of the youth center. Taking Billy as an example, it is essential to note that the Power Rangers, while fictional characters, can serve as positive role models and can teach valuable lessons to children. If a child is struggling with a particular fear, it can be helpful for them to see characters in books and television overcoming their fears and succeeding in their goals. Encouraging children to face their fears and providing them with support and guidance can help them to build confidence and overcome their fears. It is also crucial for children to understand that it is okay to be afraid and that it is natural to feel fear in certain situations, but that it is vital to find ways to cope with and manage those fears as well. Some of his remarkable adventures with the Power Rangers. The character of Billy Cranston appeared in most episodes of the Power Rangers series as the Blue Ranger. He has had countless adventures, so much so that we would not even be able to cover every monster that he has faced without increasing the video length to more than a couple hours. Hence, we will talk about some of the most remarkable adventures that the Rangers have gone through and come out triumphant. The Black Dragon Arc. A new adversary identifying himself as the Black Dragon assaulted the command center directly while tensions between Tommy and the remainder of the Rangers grew. The enemies destroyed the tower and Alpha 5 while battling the Rangers, who were on the cusp of losing before Trini and Jason set up a teleportation device to a hidden realm for their safety. Billy was separated from the group and rendered unconscious, while his teammates escaped just as the teleportation procedure started. Because he was pulled out of the ray that was teleporting the rest of them, the other four were rendered powerless as a result of corrupted grids due to the Black Dragon's use of his power coin to link to the morphing grid. Billy, who was trapped in the dark dimension, meets Goldar there, who is being punished for failing to stop Tommy from joining the Power Rangers. Eventually, an agreement is reached between the two, and Billy is able to flee in time to assist Tommy in taking down the Black Dragon, which Tommy discovers to be mechanical in a manner akin to the Zords. While destroying the power source, the two unmorphed Rangers get caught within its quickly contracting body as if the walls were closing in on them. The two are able to flee just in time before getting crushed, but find themselves in a different world where Tommy never joined the Power Rangers and instead evolved into the villainous White Ranger Lord Drakkon. They manage to get away from the Mastodon sentries and discover the wrecked remnants of several Zords as well as the White Ranger's enchanted sword, which was called Saba. Saba then leads the two and narrates the chronology of how the planet was created. The two soon encounter the members of the Insurrection, which consists of reimagined versions of Bulk, Kat, Aisha, Trini, and Zack. In order to give alternate Trini the opportunity to approach and destroy Lord Drakkon's Morpher and Coin, Billy pretends to surrender while reclaiming his slain counterpart's Morpher and Coin for her use. Soon after, the remaining Rangers arrive to save Billy and Tommy from the wretched alternate timeline they were stuck in. They then send everyone home using the last bit of the Black Dragon's energy. Following the Black Dragon storyline, Billy vows to be more active and develops a little more muscular body. The fact that he and Tommy had to arrange a pretense to explain their extended absence by teleporting behind some wreckage for rescue workers to discover them, despite everything appearing to be normal in his life, has put his parents in an overly protective condition. Billy's mother had a very genuine parental worry that she could have lost her son, as she believed that he had been buried alive for several days. Billy finds his mother's concern to be a little irritating, but Trini implores him to take her sentiments into account. Despite his best efforts, he wishes for things to return to normal. Zed's invasion. Billy was assigned command of the Unicorn Thunder Zord by Zordon after Lord Zed attacked Earth after putting Rita away. Zordon had earlier modified the Dinozords into Thunder Zords. After Zordon and Alpha's disappearance, Billy was the one to discover the covert entrance where they were creating the White Ranger. Billy understood that they required a new Ranger to aid them in their fight against Zed, regardless of who it was, despite the displeasure of the majority of the other Rangers at the unexpected addition of a new member. Once their identity was revealed, Billy was relieved to learn that the White Ranger was indeed Tommy Oliver, an old teammate and friend. In order to send Rita back into space covertly, the Rangers traveled to the desert in Billy's remote-activated driving Zord for basic ultra geomorphology, or in short, his Radbug. During the trip, Zack tells Angela about the gift he bought her, a set of walkie-talkies, modeled like her favorite characters from an era-appropriate children's program. Kimberly is unable to fully comprehend Trini's explanation that individuals frequently want to gather objects that serve as reminders of the things that made them happy. Zack puts the walkie-talkies in the car's trunk near Rita's dumpster as the Rangers exit the Radbug for a break. High up in his moon palace, Lord Zed is still unable to believe that his Scarlet Sentinel has failed. He gets an idea after seeing the Rangers in the desert and unleashes his magic on the Radbug. The car suddenly starts up and starts trying to smash and stomp the Rangers, saying it will not stand to be treated like a slave any longer. The Radbug is flipped onto its roof and rendered immobile by the ramp that the Rangers construct using their power weapons after they transform. Then, as retaliation, the Radbug also enlarges and gets a visage form of Zack's walkie-talkies when Zed tosses a grenade. While the other Rangers construct the Thunder Megazord, Tommy summons the White Tiger Zord to fare against the Radbug. He then attempts to stop it by hopping into the vehicle and controlling it with his Tiger Zord. The Radbug gets enraged and transforms into a bipedal monster, ejecting Tommy and the Tiger Zord as its driver in the process. As the Radbug approaches the city boundaries of Angel Grove, the Thunder Megazord rides the White Tiger Zord to catch up to it. To put a halt to the threat that it poses, the Megazord charges the Radbug and leaps upon its bonnet before ripping off its fuel line. Billy then takes care of repairs now that the Radbug is functioning normally, as the other Rangers get ready to dispatch Rita on her journey. In addition, Zack finds his fully functional walkie-talkies, and Kimberly declares that she will never doubt the worth of antiques anymore. Alien Rangers. Rita Repulsa's father, Master Vile, casts a time reversal spell on the Rangers to reverse their aging and return them to being kids. Billy then comes up with a scheme to use a gadget powered by the power coins to restore the Rangers back to their appropriate ages. Billy was able to recover himself, but Zed and Rita destroyed all 6 coins, and Goldar seized the device that helped them recover. Billy's position shifted as a result of the destruction of his Wolf Ninja coin and irreparable damage to his Triceratops power coin. He was no longer a Power Ranger, and did not join the other Rangers who were still on the hunt for the Zeo crystals. Instead, he played a liaison and advising role between the Alien Rangers at this time. Power Rangers Zeo. Tanya Sloan took Billy's position as an active ranger in the field when he formally resigned from ranger service. During the Aquitian Ranger's stay on Earth, he had taken on a support position, helping Zordon and Alpha 5 with work in the power chamber and building and maintaining the majority of the weapons, devices, and Zords the Zeo Rangers would utilize. He made a brief trip to Aquitar to aid the Aquitian Rangers in their conflict with an extraterrestrial civilization known as the Hydrocontaminators. To achieve this, he finished a prototype weapon that Sestro had begun to use against them. On his return, King Mondo ordered his ship to spin around and head straight towards the sun. He was rescued from the power chamber by the Rangers, who were assisted by Alpha 5 and Zordon. Billy was last spotted to be experiencing rapid aging due to a side effect of the regenerator he utilized to recover his actual age. He decided to stay in Aquitar with Sestria, who was a female Aquitian with whom he fell in love. He would also receive treatment from their eternal falls, which are comparable to the foundation of youth, in order to counteract his aging. When the Blue Ranger went rogue. In Power Rangers Mighty Morphin Season 2, there was an episode that followed the story of how the Blue Ranger went rogue. Titled Blue Ranger Gone Bad, Episode 52 presents a plotline which shows how dangerous each member of the Power Rangers can be if their powers are unchecked and are being used for personal gains and evil deeds. The start of the episode takes us to Angel Grove High, where an art class is currently in session. We see how Tommy and Kimberly are having trouble with the sculpting process of their project. Suddenly, the focus shifts to Billy, and he presents his creation, a hologram disc. Adam joins Tommy and Kimberly, and all of them are in awe of Billy's creation, as they find it pretty fascinating. Violet, another student in the art class, shows how impressed she is by the disc. She is then excited to show the lot her own creation, and showcase it in front of Billy since he created a statue of him for her assignment. Taken aback by Violet's creation, Billy thanks her for the statue awkwardly, as he was not expecting what he saw. On the other side of the class, Bulk and Skull demonstrate their somewhat clumsy attempt to make a monument of the Power Rangers to Mrs. Binks, who is rather unimpressed. They talk about how they are hoping that the Rangers will arrive at the school to thank them. Their intentions, however, are not to garner the heroes' praise. Rather, it is to reveal their identities once they show up. Soon after the teacher and all the students depart from the classroom, Squat and Goldar enter by teleporting inside the premises. The reason for their infiltration is to put their plans into action. Lord Zed is shown to be watching and keeping an eye on the two from his moon base. He soon starts reciting a spell, and everything seems to be going smoothly, but Rita grows impatient and grabs the staff from Lord Zed to use it to transform the statue of Billy into a fully developed Billy, whose eyes glow red as he comes to life. Rita successfully turns the statue into an evil Billy, and Goldar makes the observation that the idea is to use the imposter as Billy's replacement and put the real Billy in stasis. Later, Adam and Kimberly try to encourage Billy to ask Violet out as they think it is clear that she likes him. Suddenly, a bunch of putties teleport around them. As they try to defend themselves from the assault, Billy is carried off after getting engulfed in vines and sent to Zed's evil dimension, Billy being captured when unnoticed during the heat of the battle. Meanwhile, the antagonist's plan is revealed, and it is to steal the Rangers' power morphers and communication devices in order to cut off any contact with Zordon. Now captive, Billy is restrained by a beam of light, and he witnesses his clone standing beside Squat and Goldar. The two then seize Billy's backpack and subsequently his communicator, and hand them to the evil clone. Goldar also announces how the mist that surrounds Billy will eventually put him to sleep permanently. After a while, Billy's evil clone joins Adam, Tommy, and Kimberly in a seemingly normal setting. They are a little perplexed by his behavior as he shows little to no interest in meeting Violet and instead wants to lift weights and work out. As he continues to pump the weights, people around him are also dumbfounded as they see a sudden shift in Billy's personality. When Violet approaches him, the clone avoids her and shows no interest in her. After he is done lifting the weights, he spits out some scientific terms in order to convince the other Rangers to hand him their communicators. The clone claims that he needs to modify their devices and succeeds in persuading them, but Tommy denies the request and holds onto his communicator cautiously as he senses that something is wrong. The rest of the Rangers, however, hand him their communicators, and the clone is able to maintain his cover and covertly finishes the first part of his mission. As some time passes, Aisha, who is hanging out with the fake Billy, asks him about his previous invention, the hologram disc, but much to her surprise, he replies by saying that he does not have it anymore. The group then carries on, but Tommy stays back and contacts Zordon in an attempt to garner some information on Billy's suspicious behavior. Zordon informs Tommy that he has not given Billy any instructions about altering and upgrading the communicators at all. Concerned, Zordon enlists the aid of Alpha in searching for the life signals of the real Billy in hopes of finding his whereabouts. With his suspicions now confirmed, Tommy informs Kimberly of what is going on, but when Kimberly tries to regain control of her communicator from the fake Billy, Goldar appears in front of them alongside a gang of putties. As soon as they teleport in, the fake Billy sides with them, and Goldar mocks the Rangers on how they cannot transform and subsequently cannot fight them without their devices. As the fight ensues between the two parties, Kimberly is able to grasp Billy's backpack, but before she can hand it over to her team, she is blocked by a bunch of putties. She then tries to throw the bag at Tommy, but it gets tangled in a tree. Meanwhile, back in his captivity, the real Billy utilizes his problem-solving skills and uses the hologram disc he created earlier as a reflective surface to short out the projector by reflecting the beam back at it. Back on Earth, much to their adversary's surprise, the Rangers are still able to put up a decent fight without transforming and are on the cusp of winning. Seeing this, Rita wakes up a dozing Zed and makes him come to the balcony alongside Finster and her. Zed then prevents Rita from grabbing his staff again, and uses it to create the monster vase face using the sculpture that Tommy had created earlier. Since the real Billy was successful in shorting out the projector, Zordon and Alpha were able to detect his life signal. Right then when they located him, Zordon teleported Billy to the arena, where he discovered that the evil Billy was trying to reach the bag. Billy quickly snatches it off from him and passes it to Tommy, who distributes the other power morphers to his teammates after regaining his own. Now with their morphers back in their possession, Billy transforms to fight his evil clone, who also transforms, surprising him. With both of them being in their Blue Ranger costume, the gang is unable to figure out which of them is the genuine Billy. Kimberly, however, is not deceived by this effort from the clone due to the conversation she had with him earlier about the hologram disc. Confronting them both, Kimberly picks up the disc and poses a fictitious question. In quick succession, one of the Billys replies and calls the disc a mirror of some sort, while the other Billy remains silent and chooses not to answer. This is enough for Kimberly to gauge which of them is real, as she can easily decipher that the Billy that gave the incorrect response was the fraud. Billy then guides the other Rangers as they transform, and together they use their blasters to demolish the imposter. Impressed, Tommy questions Kimberly on how she was able to determine which Billy was the legitimate one. She states that she could differentiate the real Billy from the clone because he would have known about the disc, and hence he chose to remain silent. With the clone defeated, Zed's frustration grows, and he makes Vaseface into a towering monstrosity that could easily crush Rangers with one stomp. In order to fight against him, the Rangers call in the Thunderzords and combine their powers to form the Thunder Megazord. Now the ginormous Vaseface was facing the Thunder Megazord and the White Tiger Zord, and the battle between them was of enormous proportions. Eventually, Vaseface is destroyed as the Thunder Megazord uses the Thunder Saber to defeat him. With the Power Rangers now triumphant, Rita and Zed's plans are thwarted, and they indulge in a screaming match against one another, blaming each other for their failure. As the threats have all been neutralized for the time being, the heroes are seen back in their art class, where Billy approaches Violet and apologizes for his previous actions. She accepts his apology, and the two set up a date. When everyone in the class presents their projects to the teacher, Kimberly showcases a painting that she has prepared, which features her and her friends. Bulk and Skull disclose that they recruited Violet to create the sculpture for them, only to learn that she actually created a statue of Billy dressed as a Gold Ranger. She explains why she chose Billy to represent the Gold Ranger, and explains how only a person who possesses the traits of becoming a Ranger should be representing the Gold Ranger. Much to the enjoyment of Billy's friends, Bulk and Skull laugh at the notion of Billy being a Power Ranger. Some of the other memorable Blue Rangers. There have been a plethora of the Blue Ranger adaptations over the years, spanning over a multitude of series, comics, and movies. Each adaptation had its own story to tell, its own personality, its quirks, and overall, they were completely different characters that benefited the team in their own personal ways. Since Billy Cranston was the original Blue Ranger and the character that set the foundation for any future adaptations of the Blue Ranger, one would expect that all subsequent Blue Rangers would be somewhat like him. But in the case of the Power Rangers, that is not true, because their characters have been quite diverse. Let us look at some of those examples and take a stroll down memory lane. Tori Hansen from Ninja Storm. Sally Martin's portrayal of Tori Hansen was the inaugural female Blue Ranger in the entire franchise history. Tori was depicted to be an extremely capable fighter, with her roots originating from her extensive training to become a ninja. She was a deadly combatant who'd utilized her ninja training to the fullest, and her talents were enhanced to a higher degree compared to an average human because of that. She was shown to be more agile and nimble than most human beings. She had the ability to leap higher and longer distances, and her control over her own psyche was so powerful that she was even able to resist mental manipulation from external forces. Apart from her offensive prowess, she was shown to be quite resilient and experienced battle strategist. She even had the ability to control water, and as a master of water manipulation, she could utilize the moisture around her to create projectiles of water that she could use in a fight. She also possessed the talent of running over water as if it was solid ground, which gave her an advantage over her enemies on numerous occasions. In addition to all this, after Tori's time as an active ranger ended, she chose to spend the rest of her life teaching at the academy, where she acquired the majority of her ninjutsu training. Even when not fighting the forces of evil directly, Tori ensured that she taught the following generation of warriors all of her skill sets, as if it was the formal passing of the torch. Ethan James from Dino Thunder. Ethan, played by Kevin Duhaney, is a huge gamer with a passion for technology. He has many traits similar to Billy Cranston, the first Blue Ranger. Bullies, whether they were found in the high school corridors or the world beyond, Ethan was prepared to confront them. He wielded an energy stone that granted him indestructible skin as a part of the Dino Thunder team. His skin became a faint shade of blue and hardened into scales when he activated his special power. He had a tendency to always choose the most straightforward solution out of any situation, no matter how intense it was, and that was his biggest downfall. His trait changed, however, after Ethan was put in a hellish scenario due to his shortcomings when a monster pulled him into a computer game. This sequence of events made him learn an important lesson, and moving forward, he made sure that he did not allow himself to leave any gaps in his judgment. Towards the end, much like Billy Cranston, Ethan's affinity for technology left a lasting legacy for the Power Rangers. It was also revealed that as time passed, it was Ethan's created software that was used in the field by the SPD Rangers. Madison Rocca from Mystic Force. The second woman to be depicted as the Blue Ranger, Madison Rocca, portrayed by Melanie Vallejo, was shown to be one of the kindest people out there. Her personality was both soft and ferocious at the same time, depending on what the situation called for. She was not your average run-of-the-mill ranger, though, since she possessed magical powers like the capacity to harness the skills of a mermaid comparable in power to the other abilities that were bestowed upon the members of the Mystic Force. She also possessed the ability to transform into her Zord rather than simply control or operate it. Madison was considerably more collected than her sister, who served as the Pink Ranger on the squad. She wasn't prone to acting hastily, unlike Vita, who would frequently pause to weigh her options. She was often rated as one of the team's loveliest members due to her kind and caring personality. Flynn McAllister from RPM. It sounds like the experience of nearly every youngster in today's world to have grown up as a comic book and superhero enthusiast. Flynn McAllister, played by Ari Boyland, was one of the unique young people whose love of superheroes carried over into adulthood and gave rise to a desire in him to save others. However, Flynn had a tendency to go too far in his eagerness to proving a helping hand, because he was never sure when a task was finished. In one laughable instance, Flynn was eager to help people when a fire broke out. He was able to extinguish the fire, but since he was not entirely convinced that the fire was out, he let the water run for more time than what was required, which resulted in causing water damage all over. Flynn was the second in command for his team of Power Rangers, and was an enthusiastic leader, ready to step up whenever required. Though many teams listed the Black or Green Rangers as second to the Red Team commander, he was second in charge of his squad, a good nod for a Blue Ranger. As a Power Ranger, he also possessed a particular ability, though just for 10 seconds. Flynn's ability to pause time gave him an advantage over his enemies on multiple occasions. He also had a strong mechanical aptitude, making him one of the few Rangers to ever really design a new Zord. He continued to assist people when his formal Power Ranger responsibilities were finished, only in a different way. He and his father made the decision to rebuild the city of Corinth's computer networks, which had earlier been destroyed by destructive technology. Sky Tate from SPD. Portrayed by Chris Violet, Sky Tate was the lone Power Ranger who was initially dissatisfied with his position and had hoped to serve as the Red Ranger prior to getting put in charge of Blue. As the B Squad member with the highest level of experience and him being the most remarkable student in his class at the SPD Academy, Sky was frustrated when he didn't receive the position of team captain. As a result of this, when the squad was assigned missions in their initial days, Sky made a point of being disobedient to Jack, the Red Ranger, who not only happened to be a former felon whom Sky had once caught, but also was quite unqualified. According to Sky, any disagreement among the squad makes the job much harder because the Power Rangers are practically the police force, and that is why Sky's attitude interfered with the group's ability to work efficiently. However, he did finally acknowledge Jack as the team captain. Force fields were one generic trait Sky possessed that offered him a fighting advantage. He could not only set up a force field to keep the bad guys away, but he could also utilize it offensively to produce a propelling blast. Ollie Akana from Dino Fury. Played by Kai Moya, Ollie Akana possesses the intellectual flair that distinguishes the Blue Rangers. The problem is that Ollie doesn't simply possess brilliance, he also lets it control his ego. When he partners up with the other members of the Dino Fury Rangers, he spends a lot of time learning to consider the thoughts and ideas of others, because he doesn't usually do so. Of course, Ollie also frequently thinks outside the box, as seen by the fact that he brought camping gear that his pals didn't even believe they would need. His ideology was that being overprepared was always better than to be sorry, and a lot of the time it seemed to work perfectly. Additionally, he ultimately comes around to his friend's illogical ideas, such as Amelia's emphasis on the paranormal. By the conclusion of the 2 seasons, he had improved as a ranger, thanks to his willingness to adapt and consider the opinions of others. There were many other iterations of the Blue Ranger over the course of time, but these were our top preferences, and the ones that came to mind instantly when talking about the heroism of the Blue Ranger. Conclusion. There is no doubt about it that Billy Cranston played a significant role in the childhood of many of us 90s kids. His bravery, leadership, and sense of humor made him a beloved character and an essential part of the Power Rangers team. As a member of the Power Rangers, Billy was tasked with finding technological solutions to problems and was known for his intelligence and quick thinking. He also had a strong sense of loyalty to his friends and was always willing to put himself in danger to protect them. These traits made him an excellent role model, and with each episode, there was something new to learn from the character. In addition to his superhero duties, Billy was also relatable and had his own personal struggles, including dealing with a bunch of bullies and facing challenges in his relationships and social life in general. This made him a more well-rounded and human character, which only added to his appeal to a larger audience, who might have been facing similar issues in their own lives. Overall, Billy Cranston was an integral part of our childhood, and will always be remembered as a beloved and iconic character. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.